Thank you very much. So actually, I have joined this session because I want to share one experience I had in the past and just talk a bit about how we did solve one of the issues. You are all familiar with integration, and you know when you build your flows in an integration platform like Camel, you deploy your flows to the platform, suddenly everything becomes more or less a black box. Unless you build this sort of a framework yourself, you log some data to log files or to an external data store like a database, and you browse through it to understand what went through your platform. And actually, I have had a discussion with one of our customers here in Germany 9 years ago, and he was actually very frustrated with monitoring his platform and getting insights because they had a very large installation, distributed environment, many flows, processing a lot of data, a lot of business data, things like orders, invoices, and so on and so forth. And so at that time we said, in operations, we can do something about it. We really need to get out of this darkness and give our customer a bit more visibility into what's going on in the platform. So that was the birth actually of a solution called nJAMS that we have built, and that nJAMS has been deployed across the years to monitor different integration platforms. And around 2019, we have decided to build an nJAMS solution also for Camel, to make sure whenever you deploy your platform, you build your flows and you deploy them, that you have visibility into what's going on inside the platform. nJAMS stands for not just another monitoring solution, and the reason for that is because nJAMS collects all the data and flows running through the platform. Actually, it monitors the flows natively, as well as the data executed along these flows. It automatically identifies issues, and it can generate alerts for any issues that happen in the platform. And it does all of this without requiring you to do any changes to your code. So it's actually a platform that does the monitoring by auto-discovery. So on the right side, you see a flow. This is a diagram generated by nJAMS automatically out of a flow definition. And this is done by nJAMS without requiring you to change anything in the code. Actually, nJAMS doesn't know about the implementation of the flows and their configurations. It just runs on top of the platform, and it auto-discover the activities, the routers, actually the complete flow end to end. While the flows are executed, when messages are hitting the platform via channels, nJAMS will collect the data and will show how the flow has been executed along the flow. You will see every activity has been executed and some metrics around that activity. If any error occurs, nJAMS will capture that error in the flow automatically and will provide it to the user in the user front end. When you run flows, typically you have multiple flows running in your platform to achieve certain goals. So these flows will work more or less on the same messages, and nJAMS will correlate the execution of those messages across different flows and will present the correlation chain to the user for the user to be able to understand exactly where we started processing data and if there are any issues where those issues have happened. So in the next slide, we will see a screenshot from the graphical user interface. On the left side, we show the domains of Camel that we monitor. You can have multiple domains, things like this is a development environment, this is a test environment, or a production environment, and automatically nJAMS will show all the flows deployed to those environments, and nJAMS will also apply access control to this. So different users may see different flows in the platform. Once you click on any of those flows, nJAMS will execute a search and will show you all the executions that happened in your platform. And if you click on one of them, you get an exact description of what happened inside Camel with regards to that specific message. So you can imagine every entry in this list corresponds to the processing of, for example, an order. If there are any errors, nJAMS will highlight those errors with this icon. If the flows run properly, they will be marked with the status success, which is green. In addition, we have a search bar where you can search on any flow based on the data processed by that flow. Data could be, for example, an order ID or a customer name or an address or a supplier. Any value that you have, you could put in here in this search bar, and nJAMS will show you a list of all messages that are executed in the platform for that specific ID. So in addition to this, with nJAMS, we can see the execution time of the flow. So every flow, how long it took to execute. We can see the execution time of every single activity. By clicking on this icon, we could see that. We get a lot of statistics calculated for the platform for every single flow definition, as well as for every activity inside the flow. So nJAMS goes beyond this, and it provides reports. So we can create reports for any flow definition. We can also configure alerting rules. Alerting rules can be based on the status of flows, can be based on the data inside the flows. They can also be based on statistics. And finally, we have another component embedded in nJAMS called Argos. So with Argos, we can monitor the infrastructure which is running Camel. And with this, we actually want to bridge the gap between monitoring the flows. And if a flow, for example, is taking too long, we would like to determine if there are any issues in the underlying infrastructure and then correlate the two events. Slowness of a process correlates with the CPU is overloaded, for example. So as I mentioned, with nJAMS, we can capture all the payloads. So this is really where we give 100% visibility into everything going on in the platform. So we capture the message that has been sent via the channel, no matter which format that is. It could be a message in XML or JMS, or JSON message or CSV, whatever is there. nJAMS is generic, and it will show you exactly the payload as it's been used by Camel. And you could also enable tracing along the flow and see exactly how the message has been transformed, routed across or along the chain of the flow. So in a nutshell, with nJAMS in place, you have now the possibility to monitor a layer which has never been monitored in Camel, mainly the flow layer as well as the data layer. And the nJAMS actually provides this feature out of the box without requiring a user to do any development or any enhancements to the platform to gain this visibility. How it works? nJAMS consists of two components. One is a server component, and one is what we call the nJAMS client. The nJAMS client is nothing but a jar file that you will deploy to your platform along with the configuration file. And that configuration file will tell the nJAMS client where to send monitoring data to. And obviously, it will send it via ActiveMQ or any JMS messaging server of your choice to the nJAMS server. The nJAMS server will display the data, will execute the alerts, and so on and so forth. If you are interested to see nJAMS, you can get in touch with my colleague Birgit Jordan at integrationmatters.com. She can help you to get a demo, an evaluation. We can ask your questions. We can answer your questions. And I would like to take the opportunity now and thank our partner, bintegra from Slovenia, who did build the nJAMS client for this platform to extend the monitoring capabilities to Camel for Camel user also to benefit from these features. Thank you.